Oh, well, Ashley, thank you so much for being on the Entrepreneurial Success Podcast. I am thrilled to have you here. And more importantly, I'm so excited to hear what you've got to share with us today. So thank you for taking the time to be here. Why don't you just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. So I am a marketing consultant. My company is called Dash of Social. I primarily work with service-based business owners to help them grow and optimize and establish online presence through social media, email marketing, blogging, paid ads, and SEO.
That's amazing. So tell us a little bit about how you got started in the marketing world and how you got started, or how you basically started up Dash of Social.
Yeah, so actually it all started back in 2012. I had started a fashion lifestyle blog at the age of 15. So I'm still
Wow.
fairly young. I'm 22. So I started a blog in 2012. I started growing that blog organically through social media. And because I started growing it more and more, I got the opportunity to work with smaller companies on paid partnerships. So I'd attend press events. They'd send me their products to review in my blog. They'd compensate me just to write about their company, things like that. So because Instagram was about 1 to 2 years old at this time, many companies were focusing really just on influencer marketing, and they were kind of neglecting social media as a whole. And because I really use social media to grow my brand, I realized how important it was for every brand to be utilizing it. And because of that, I really kind of got interested in the whole marketing world and really wanted to support these brands that I already had relationships with. So I started doing some pro bono work for these companies to manage their social media, build marketing strategies, and things like that. And as I got more familiar with it, I really started to enjoy marketing, and eventually started just freelancing here and there until I established Dash of Social 3 years ago in September 2016.
Oh my gosh. And then for you, what kind of motivated you to make that start? I mean, I think that especially in the online world today, it is so much easier for you to start a business. Doesn't matter in what industry you're in. So for you, what kind of motivated you to start from a young age in order to just grow into this world of marketing and entrepreneurship?
Yeah, so from a very young age, I've been entrepreneurial minded. I've always wanted to own a business, but I never knew what that business would be until I discovered marketing. And then I realized, okay, I think I want to go down that route. But what really kind of pushed me was my mom was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer the day after my 19th birthday. And so that diagnosis just kind of made me realize, okay, well, life is short. Like, do what I want now. Because for so long, well, here in the United States, it's like when you graduate from college, you're either expected to go the corporate route or you're expected to continue your education. And I just never really was interested in working for someone else. And so I'm like, why don't I start what I want to do now? And so I did. And owning a business and the incredible flexibility that came with my schedule and whatnot allowed me to take care of my mom up until she passed away. And so that was just such a huge of huge importance to me, because I was able to live a life that I wanted and also make money while doing so.
Oh, well, I'm so sorry to hear about your mum. It's always sad news to hear it. And talk a little bit about the passion for you. And I'm so sorry to jump over from the motivational part but to the passion. But this is something that I feel is one of those big keys almost for any entrepreneur, because at the end of the day, if you're not doing anything that you're passionate about, you're not going to make a success. And I mean, it walks hand in hand. So talk to me a little bit about the passion behind your business and what you do.
So one of the biggest things that I love about what I do and my career is that it directly aids entrepreneurs in growing their businesses, because marketing is huge. There's so many things that's important for in terms of generating leads, building brand awareness, establishing credibility. And so knowing that the work that I do is directly influencing the growth of my clients' companies in some fashion is what really fuels me to wake up each morning and get excited to tackle my work, because I know that I play such a key role in their overall operations.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think that's a great passion to have as well, because it's a two-way street. You helping them, but the satisfaction that you get at the end of the day is worth much, much more than, any dollars could be in any sense of value. So no, I completely agree with you. It's great. Now, there's a couple of lessons and a couple of topics that you wanted to share with us today, in particular with all your experience in marketing. And one of the things that you actually said that was really great was to create a well-rounded marketing strategy that is more than just social media. And I loved it when you said that, because I thought this is a good scope to start off from. So tell us a little bit more about what you meant by that.
Yes. So I always say that whenever I talk about this, I almost feel like a hypocrite, because social media is one of my favorite things, but it's also not the only thing that you should be doing. I think there's too many times where entrepreneurs think that if they just get on social media, that will bring their business all the success that they want. And what's really the most important is doing more than just social media. So making sure that you're incorporating, as I like to call it, all pieces of the marketing pie. So using email marketing, using blogging, having a solid website, dipping into PR, just kind of tackling those different initiatives in addition to social media can really expand the results that you get and get further growth for your business.
Yeah, absolutely. And for you in particular, you said that you've helped quite a few clients, just growing their businesses through some of these platforms like email marketing, social media. Can you give us an example of something that you've done in order to help them grow their businesses, or have them more visibility for their business in particular?
Yeah, so one client that I worked with, one of my favorite clients ever, they help people who are going through divorce in some aspect. And so what they do is they offer a ton of either low cost or free resources and events for people who are in that space. And so by hosting a ton of monthly events through the initiatives that we did of social media, email marketing, blogging, and PR, they were able to get more people at their events in the first 6 months that we worked together versus an entire year of them doing it by their own.
That's fantastic. And that is just through working with you and making sure that the marketing and the social media content is just consistently going out in order to gain more visibility. Is that right?
Correct.
And the other thing is I like the saying that you always put down, and I've seen this on some of your blogs as well. You say, don't put your eggs in one basket. So yes. What would you suggest in order to diversify that a little bit?
So speaking about social media specifically, a lot of people are on the Instagram craze, which is totally understandable. Love Instagram. But people tend to focus only on Instagram and not on other social media platforms. And so basically what I mean by don't put all your eggs in one basket is you don't want to focus on just one social media platform. Because say if your Instagram account gets hacked, if Instagram accuses your account of going against their terms of service and shuts you down, if you spent so much time building your presence on Instagram but nowhere else, is your business still going to survive and thrive after your account is gone? And so that's why it's really important to also bring in the other platforms where your target market exists, so that way you have something else to fall back on just in the case that happens.
No, absolutely. I agree with you. Actually, as an example, if you don't mind bringing something in here, I recently held a masterclass all about online customer growth. And I specifically spoke to my audience about how many different strategies there are in order to, number one, get visibility, but also get that online traffic. But then I put a little caveat on that, because there are so many different strategies available and so many different things you can do, that there's almost when people think that, oh my gosh, all these strategies are great, they want to try it all, but they get to a point where it's almost analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
They just get so overwhelmed with the prospect of everything that they want to do. And then that kind of like overwhelms them, and they kind of stops, or they don't see the momentum. So from my point of view, what I always tell my students is don't get overwhelmed. Always just choose one or two strategies and just see if it works for you, or just try it out and then move over to the next strategies. But from your point of view and from your experience, what would you say is the life lesson? What would you say, can also be done in order to stop them from just getting overwhelmed and going for all the pieces in the pie, basically?
Yeah. So I always recommend taking one step at a time.
Yeah.
So exactly as you mentioned, when you try to dive in and do so many different things as once, that's when the overwhelm comes. And when the overwhelm comes, that's what leads people to kind of take a step back and just give up, because they're like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have the time. And they just don't want to focus on it anymore. So really, figure out what your social media strategy is and kind of get that down pat. Once you feel comfortable with that, move on to another outlet. Maybe you want to get more into email marketing. Figure out ways that you can start growing your list, what types of newsletters you can send, how you can get people on your list that are going to stay engaged in your list and things like that. Once you kind of take it each step at a time, it makes it so much easier, because then when it comes to kind of working them all in together, you have a totally cohesive and coherent understanding of how you want to approach them, and then you really won't end up feeling overwhelmed at all.
Exactly. No, I definitely love that approach, and I'm so glad I'm not the only one who's preaching it. Because at the end of the day, I mean, and particularly in the online world, there's so many new strategies, so many new platforms constantly becoming available, tools in particular as well. And with that comes more strategies. So people try something and then they see like a new thing happening and they go, oh, I'm going to try that. And then they let go of what they already started and they haven't seen it through, and they try out the new thing. And then they just keep on moving over and over. And that's where they don't get to see any results, because they're not just zoning in on something in particular and seeing it through. The other thing that you put down here, which I absolutely love, it's all about engaging, and particularly social media. So talk a little bit about that, because this is a big one. And I really love what you've said here. So I'll let you do the talking. Tell us a little bit about engaging on social media.
Definitely. So sometimes I'll be just speaking to business owners about what they're currently doing with their social media strategy and what they can do to improve. And I'm like, they're like, I'm just not getting engagement on Instagram. I don't know what I'm doing, all this stuff. And I'm like, are you going out and engaging with other accounts? And they're like, no. And I'm like, all right, there's your first step. So as I always say, the saying, build it and they will come, is totally old school.
Yeah.
So the idea that if you build something great, people will just flock to it. Yes, that's true, but you have to do stuff to get people to flock to it. So by that I mean is that you can have amazing content, but if you're not going out and actively seeking to build relationships with others, then those relationships aren't going to happen. So engaging on social media, specifically Instagram, is actually something that's really easy to do. I recommend spending about just 30 minutes a day going through and engaging with accounts that fall within your target market. So following them, liking some of their posts, leaving genuine, authentic, meaningful comments on their posts and things like that. And those 30 minutes don't even have to be all at once. You can do it when you have just 5 minutes here and there. So I recommend, if you're watching your favorite TV show and a commercial comes on, spend some time engaging. Or if you're sitting in the passenger seat of a car driving somewhere, spend some time engaging. All of those few minutes that you take each day to really go out and build those relationships can really add up and build the overall organic growth of your account.
And it's so true what you're saying, because I've heard this so many times as well, when my students are saying, but I'm posting, nobody's responding to me, and I'm constantly putting an email out there, nobody's responding to me. What am I doing wrong? And that comes back to the first thing. It's like, how much are you, as the first part, are engaging with them? It's not about how many times you're getting a like or how many times you're getting a reply on a post. It's about you engaging with them first. It will just reciprocate, where people will just start going, oh yeah, you like me. So it's almost as an automatic human thing, where they would just start coming to you, liking your content. The other thing I wanted to ask you is, when it comes to putting content out there, and also engaging in social media, do you kind of have a rule of thumb as to how much more you should engage versus how much more you should post yourself as well? Is there kind of like a balance there, or a rule of thumb that you would follow?
What I really recommend is, for the engaging, definitely sticking to those 30 minutes per day. But when it comes to actually posting on your own social media accounts, I say it's so much more important to focus on consistency than frequency. So if you're able to consistently post 2 times a week, that's amazing. Don't try to post every single day, because that's what leads back to what we were discussing earlier with that overwhelm. So when you get stressed out trying to create all this new content, you'll end up getting overwhelmed and then just stop it all completely. So it's so much more important to focus on the consistent aspect of it rather than the frequent aspect of it, and consider a consistency that works for you. So as I mentioned, maybe 2 times per week works for you, or maybe 4 times per week is a great number for you. Whatever intuitively feels right, go for that, because that will still help you get that engaged audience and optimized presence, but you're just doing it on a time that works for your schedule.
If any of you are listening, by all means, just go out there and start engaging with people. Don't feel like disheartened at any point if you wake up in the morning and you're seeing the post that you've sent out there, you've got no engagement coming back from it. Just go out there and start engaging with other people. More importantly, not just any people, but those people that could be potential customers of yours. Go and reach out to them and, start engaging with them, because the more you engage with them, the more they will start coming automatically back to you and start engaging with you as well. And that's where you're definitely going to start building your following and obviously the amount of viewers you have on your posts. The other thing that you said here is know your audience pain points and speak to them. So talk to us a little bit about that, because this is something that I talk about over and over again as well when I talk to my students. And people always think, well, the kind of responses that I've had is people going, everybody's saying we need to do that. And that sounds so negative and depressing almost. But that's not the case. What is your take on that? And talk to us a little bit about that, about the benefits of that.
Absolutely. So when someone is looking to hire someone or purchase a product, they want to know that that service or product will benefit them in some way. And so whatever you're trying to sell someone, you have to think about what those benefits are and think about the reasons why someone would want to do that. So throughout your content, through pain points, think about something that they're struggling with or something that's kind of taking them too much time or something along those lines that's just a really difficult thing for them to do. Talk about that in your content and then show how you provide the solution. So for example, with me, one of the most common things that my clients face is time. They just really do not have the time to focus on their marketing, but they know that it's something that's so important. And so that's what leads them to working with someone like me, because throughout my content, I'm constantly talking about how marketing can be made easy and how marketing can be made convenient and how it can be done in such a quick, efficient way. Things like that. So when you're able to provide value and show that you can take that problem away from them, that's what will make them want to work with you or purchase your product.
Do you have any tips in particular on how you structure your content in order to how can I say, is there a way that you structure your content in order to engage with your audience, where you kind of like bring that essence, that pain point in order to kind of like hook them, in order to start, either to start replying to you or start engaging with your content? Is there something then particular structure that you have that you follow yourself?
Yeah, so basically, I'm not sure if this is the right way to put it, but I kind of like giving pep talks, I guess is the best way to say it. So pretty much I just think about these issues that a lot of entrepreneurs tend to focus on. So for example, I actually just did a post about this, I believe on Tuesday, where I talked about how I said, it was like a reminder, and I said, don't be discouraged if someone unfollows you or unsubscribes from your email list because they weren't your ideal client or customer anyway. Absolutely. And so my post kind of following that talked about how people who are your ideal customers or clients won't end up unfollowing you or unsubscribing from you. So you really can't look at those numbers because you know that they were never going to work with you anyway. Yeah. And so I just kind of wrote a post that talks about that, and it brought in a lot of engagement, because one thing that people constantly say is like, people are always unfollowing me or people are always unsubscribing from my email list and things like that. And so I just kind of gave that pep talk saying like, it's okay if someone does that because they weren't a part of your target market anyway if they did
exactly.
that. And so that's just a structure that I really like to follow, is just not come from, I guess the best way to put it is that when you're talking about these pain points, is you don't want to come from a condescending point of view or tone. You want to act more as the motivational aspect. Yeah. And so that's what I really looked to focus on, is motivating or making my audience feel better about the situation that they may find themselves in.
No, absolutely. And that's a great way is to do it as well, because you're kind of like standing up as the expert within your field or in your industry. But apart from just teaching as well, you're like kind of helping them getting over that pain point every single time. And it doesn't have to be something huge. It can be the smallest kind of pain point and just helping them at that moment in time just get over it. So it makes absolutely sense. Thank you so much. Okay, so that was absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much. What we're going to do is Ashley's website, Dash of Social, will be in a link at the bottom of this episode, of this podcast episode. And then we're also going to put Ashley's, almost said LinkedIn, Ashley's Instagram account there so you can go and see it. Now, the best part is Ashley actually have a social media content calendar, which is absolutely for free. And the link is obviously to her homepage. And then as soon as you get onto a homepage, it's going to be there for you. So you can just pop in your name, your email address, and you can download the social media content calendar. I'm going to do it myself as well because I saw it and I thought, oh, I haven't done that yet. So I'm going to go download your calendar.
Awesome.
But that was absolutely fantastic. Ashley, thank you so much for your time being here. I absolutely enjoy just having you here, talking about the kind of content that we need to put out there, the fact that we need to all go out there and get a slice of the marketing pie, which I think is important, not having all our eggs in one basket, and just trying it out. I mean, the main thing is at the end of the day, wherever you are in the world, whatever niche or industry you're in, there are so many possibilities for you in order to get visibility and to get a bigger following, to grow your email list. But at the end of the day, it's all up to you as to what kind of feels right for you, what strategy you want to use and implement in your business. So just go and try one or two, run with it, see how it works for you. Don't give up until you start seeing some success. Because if you give up, you might just be short or shy of the success that you would have had. And then try something else. As soon as you've seen that success, go and try something else, get some more visibility out there. And if you want to have more visibility, and like Ashley said, you don't have the time to do that, well, why don't you go and get in contact with Ashley through her marketing agency, Dash of Social. And I'm sure she'd be more than happy to help you out and get all the marketing done for you. But Ashley, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. And yeah, we'll be in touch and we'll talk very, very soon again.
Yes, I look forward to it. Thank you so much.